What's up guys, I'm JK4K and I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm super excited to be doing an unboxing along with my impressions of what comes from a legendary series of Canon cameras, the 90D. If you're not familiar with what I'll call the Canon D series, it is a DSLR camera series from Canon that is very user-friendly and does a great job overall of capturing both photos and videos at a great value for most people. Of course, Canon has other cameras that are more or less expensive, but you gain here or lose there, and this D series has what I'll consider to be the happy middle ground. This series of camera has been used by tons of YouTubers for all types of videos, from vlogging to product reviews and more. The flexibility that this camera provides is what makes it so awesome. Now this 90D is an epic release for me guys, as Canon has finally given us proper 4K with their dual pixel autofocus on a camera with an amazing flip screen that has great touch functionality. Canon has released the RP, the M50, and other cameras with 4K, but they don't have the dual pixel autofocus when recording in 4K, so the autofocus was not very reliable. So thank you Canon for finally giving us what we want. Before I continue, I do want you to know that I've been using this camera for a bit now to make sure everything worked properly and to allow me to provide better information about it. I'll also have links down below to this camera, or you can visit jk4k.com/90d. If you use the links, I do get a few pennies on the dollar, but it doesn't cost you anything extra, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm also going to be making more videos involving this camera, from getting the best video quality, where I'll also give you a free LUT, to sample videos with different lenses and more, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Now on to the unboxing. Alright, so we have the box here. Now I actually got the version that is the body only because I already have the Canon lenses that I use regularly. So let's go ahead and open the box. Now here on top guys, we have the warranty information, and I don't know if you've ever called Canon for support, but it is crazy good guys. The people you talk to seem so genuine and really want to help. It is literally one of the best customer service experiences you can have based on my impression so far. So I'll set that to the side. Next we got the manual. I do appreciate receiving a manual, but I think Canon could just really give us a link to where I could download it or view it online, and I would be good with that. Next we have the Canon charger. So I'll go ahead and open this up for you guys. Now with this charger, you just, of course, slide your battery in, and it blinks right here to let you know how close you are to being done with charging the battery. I really appreciate that Canon gives you a charger. There's some other companies that I really love, like Sony. Love Sony, but come on guys. Sony needs to give us a charger whenever they're giving you a camera. It just makes the package feel more complete. Next, we have the Canon 90D strap. This is a camera strap that you can connect to the ends of the camera and it goes around your neck. But I personally don't use this type of strap. I have a different strap that I can show you real quick. So with the strap I use, guys, you basically take this and put it on the end of your camera, and then you can decide to either use a wrist strap or something that goes around your neck like this. So if you're interested in that, you can visit jk4k.com/strap and see what I'm talking about. So next we have the Canon battery that they give you, and it is the LP-E6N, and this is a fantastic camera battery guys. It lasts a long time. I've had this in my 70D and 80D, and now I'll have it in my 90D, and I was glad that they're using the same battery, so that'll let me use all those batteries that I've collected over the years. But this is just a great battery because you can get a lot of photos and videos with just one single charge. And the moment we've all been waiting for, the camera itself. So let's open this up. Now here's the body guys, and I want to tell you that this, in my opinion, is one of the best camera bodies ever. It just feels so good in your hands when you're holding it. And notice guys, I don't have a strap, of course, because I just did an unboxing, but since I've used the camera, I have not even put a strap on yet because I always feel so confident when I'm holding the camera. I don't feel like I'm going to drop it like with some other cameras I use. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop in a battery, and it goes right here on the bottom, of course, and this lid snaps right into place. What's cool is you can also remove this lid and use one of the battery grips, so you can use 2 batteries at a time, and I do that a lot because then you have a crazy amount of battery life and it's really awesome. So let's start with the front of the camera. So here you can see it says 90D. Here's where you can open the flash. I'm so glad that Canon has actually included a flash. Some of the cameras that come out now don't actually have a flash built in, but to me that's just something basic that you need to have in a camera. Now, I also love how they have the microphone ports located right here. This is really nice because if you're vlogging and you don't want to add an external microphone, with the microphone ports being right here, it makes it really easy to add those little fuzzy windscreens. So that is just great in my opinion with the location. With some of the other cameras I have, these ports are really close to the lens or in a bad location, so it's really difficult to put the fuzzies on. Here we have the lens release, and I'll go ahead and open this up and put on a lens because that'll make the rest of the unboxing and initial impressions better. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my 18 to 135 on, just line up the white dot here and the dot on the lens. So there we go. This is a fantastic lens, guys. I'll talk about it more later in the video. Now let's continue to the back of the body. I'm going to turn it on real quick for you guys. You can see Canon added back the joystick. I know some photographers and users really love having this joystick, so that's nice. They also added this wheel here on the back, and I think it feels nice. Some people complained about it, but I personally think it feels great. Then they also have this where you can push and move within the menu. And they also have this Q button, which I really love, guys. So let's say you're here, and make sure you guys can see this. So whenever you're recording or doing things, guys, you can just push this and access different parts of the menu, or you can just touch, of course, which is the most amazing part about the 90D and D series, guys. This screen and how user-friendly it is and how easy it is to use and how good of a touchscreen it is. It's just amazing. When you have a touch user interface like this, it's kind of like the mentality Tesla has where you have your phone and it's touch and it all works good. They want that to transition to the car. It's just like Canon has with the camera. You use your phone, you expect to be able to touch things and adjust them and move around and navigate and control your settings. So it's just super intuitive. I really love how they have it implemented. All right, so we've got the top of the camera here. They have the flash, which I had mentioned earlier. They have the built-in hot shoe, which is really nice. They have this so you can adjust the focus of the viewfinder. They have this right here where you can change the camera settings, and I like that you actually have to push this middle button so you accidentally don't change the settings. Here's the on and off button. They also have these buttons right here to allow you to quickly adjust specific settings, which is really nice. The more buttons, the better in my opinion. Now let's continue on to the side of the camera. This is the right side if you're looking from the back, and when you open this up, you have access to the SD card. I love how the SD card is right here on the side. It's so easy and quick to access, guys. You can just pull the card out and swap them if you need to, and it's just so easy, and it makes a big difference in terms of usability. Now here on the left side are the different ports for audio and HDMI and USB. So you can see we have the microphone port here. And down here, guys, we have the headphone port, and I can't express how important this headphone port is, guys. There's been times when I've been recording videos, and when you're just hanging out making the video or whatever, you don't think there's any noises, but when you actually listen back to the video, there can be different things in your environment that can cause interference. I was actually working on a video, guys, and I was standing near an LED light, and this light was actually making a very high-pitched, annoying sound be audible in the video I was making, and I never would have known that if I didn't have the headphone jack and was listening with my headphones. So that is just one example of how important a headphone jack can be. They also have a port down here where you can plug in a shutter release if you want to actually use a wired remote. There are wireless remotes available. And there's also a USB port here where you can use to connect your camera. And then down here we have the HDMI port, and I love that this isn't the micro port. The micro port, guys, it really scares me just because it's not big and robust. And this is, I think, a good happy middle ground in terms of HDMI. Canon also gives us this nice LCD display on top. I kind of wish they would have upgraded it to what's on the EOS R, but this is still good enough, guys. Canon also gives us this light button right here that you can use to light up the display if you're having a hard time seeing it in dark situations. Now let's talk more about what's super important, and that's actually what's inside this camera, guys. This camera has a 32.5 CMOS APS-C sensor. Most other cameras similar to this have 24 megapixel sensors. So with this, you're getting 32 megapixels. So that means you'll have larger, beautiful images. This camera also has Canon's Digic 8 processor, and this is an awesome processor, guys. It gives you much better low light, so your footage will be less grainy in those low light situations. It'll also give you more dynamic range, and dynamic range allows your pictures to look more realistic and more beautiful. I do want to mention something important, guys. If you want to maximize the dynamic range, you do need to make some easy changes to the settings. I will make another video covering this and have some helpful tips and a free LUT to get you the best quality video that I've been able to achieve, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Now guys, as I was mentioning earlier, one of the biggest wins we get with this camera is the 4K 30 with dual pixel autofocus. That means you're going to have Canon's amazing focusing system in 4K, which is fantastic. Now when this camera first came out, we didn't have the ability to record in 24p, which made a lot of people upset. So thankfully Canon has given us this 24p with the latest update. It is important to know though that this camera does not allow you to record through its HDMI port in 24p. So hopefully we'll get that in a future firmware update. So I'm about to get an SD card and pop it in here so you can see how another awesome feature that's in this camera works. It has eye detect autofocus, and what's cool is you could actually change the eye that the camera is focusing on. So let me do that real quick. Alright guys, now here's some video footage that's being recorded internally to the Canon 90D. I'm actually recording at 24 frames per second right now, and you can see what the footage looks like, and you can see how the dual pixel autofocus is locking onto my face and to one of my eyes, which is really awesome. As I move in and out, you can see how well that it's focusing, so that is really cool. You can also see the other information that you get whenever you're using this camera while you're recording, such as the audio meters. That's why I really think this is the best middle ground camera that you can get for YouTube from Canon. So I hope you're finding this video helpful so far. Alright guys, so this is actually footage being recorded by my external recorder. I wanted you to see exactly what that looked like. You can see the dual pixel autofocus in action. You can see the box on my face, and this just works with the camera right out of the box. You don't have to dig into menu settings and switch anything on. This is just how awesome Canon cameras are to use, specifically this 90D. I can move around and you can see the box tracking me, and you can also see the eye detect. So you can see that it's focusing on this eye. I can push the wheel and switch over to the other one, and it'll stay on this one if I wanted to focus on that eye. So it's really cool the amount of control that you have with this camera. I do want to mention as well that this is the standard picture profile. So remember, I'll be uploading some videos on how you can get better footage that will look even better than this. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Now another thing that I love is the Canon menu system, so I want to take you through that real quick. You enter the menu by pressing this button at the top left, and you can see that everything has its own category here at the top. So we're starting with the camera settings. You can see the movie record quality is first, and you can go in here and choose how many frames a second you'd like to record. So you will notice there is only an IPB option, and the All Eye option is removed. All Eye is a more user-friendly editable format, so I was sad to see that was taken out. You'll also notice that you can record in 4K 29. As I mentioned earlier, thankfully Canon gave us an update to allow us to record in 23 0.98 frames per second, which is awesome. You can see that you can also record using the other recording options that have been historically available as a standard in most cameras, including this light full HD format at 29.97 frames per second. Now there is also a high frame rate recording mode which you can do, which will allow you to record in 120 frames per second, so you can really slow things down in post. But the problem with this is you do not have audio and you do not have Canon's awesome autofocus. So you will have to account for that. One thing you can try to do is increase your aperture if that'll work for the type of video you're trying to capture. And what's interesting is Canon also has this 4K movie cropping mode, and you can enable that and it'll actually improve the quality of the 4K that you're recording. It'll actually look a little bit better, but you do have to be aware that the camera can possibly overheat when you're recording in this mode. I actually did test it out, and the camera did start to overheat once I got to around 30 to 40 minutes of continuous recording, so just keep that in mind. Now in terms of sound recording, you can do auto or manual. I highly recommend manual, so you can set and dial in the recording level exactly where you want it. There's also a wind filter if you want to try to filter out the lower bassy noises that wind creates whenever it's blowing into the microphone. What I also love about this camera, guys, is Canon has given us electronic image stabilization. And that is super awesome, guys, because whenever you're trying to use a lens that doesn't have stabilization, the problem is the footage can get really shaky. So thanks to Canon putting in this electronic stabilization, I've been actually able to use my Sigma 18-35 lens and get some decently stable footage without it being as shaky as it has been in the past, because that lens does not have stabilization built in. Now with that, there are two different modes. One is like a standard mode and the other mode is an enhanced mode. So you'll have to choose which one works best for you. Whenever you turn on the digital image stabilization though, the camera does crop in a little bit, and it's roughly 2 or 3 millimeters or so based on what I've noticed. It's not a major crop, but it does exist, and the enhanced has more of a crop than the regular IS, which is enabled with right here under enable. Canon also puts in some lens correction built in the camera, which is nice. The camera also does have a nice time-lapse movie feature built in, so you can automatically create time-lapse movies, which is awesome. You can control the camera with a remote control. Let's see what else you guys will care about. I'm only going to talk about the highlights here. If you want me to do an in-depth video over the menu, just let me know and I can do that. Here you can adjust your exposure compensation settings if you want to brighten the image or dial it down some. You can adjust the ISO and set it specifically where you'd want the range to be. You can set the white balance, which is nice. You can also set it to a custom white balance, which is what I really recommend depending on your environment, to make sure the colors aren't changing all over the place on you. As I mentioned earlier, I will be providing some tips in terms of improving your picture style, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. There's also some settings with HDMI. Here's where you can control whether or not you want the clean HDMI out and whether you want it in 4K or in HD. But please note, whenever you have clean HDMI on, you cannot record internally to the camera. You need to use an external recorder, guys. But what's awesome is you can use this camera as a webcam and get unbelievable webcam footage compared to the typical webcams you see. You will need a special adapter to connect this camera to your computer though. Then over here you can see how we can adjust the autofocus. You can have face detect or have it do other things based on specific areas, etc. These are also tied to focusing. If you want to turn off the eye detection autofocus, you can do that here. What's also nice, guys, with this camera, if you're into manual focusing, you can have the camera let you know when you're in focus as you focus manually. Here's some settings in terms of playback. Feel free to pause the video if you need to spend some more time looking at these. Here's the wireless settings. Guys, this camera has built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is awesome. What is also super awesome, guys, is if you use the phone app, you can actually touch to focus. And I love that feature because I can't do that on all the cameras I have. Here's some other configuration settings. Here's some settings tied to HDMI. You can say whether or not the HDMI resolution is going to be 1080p or auto, which would mean allow it to use 4K. You can also turn on HDMI HDR output. There's also some very specific settings here, guys, where you can change things tied to the exposure here. Here we have autofocus settings, so you can say how the sensitivity works and things like that. So that's really cool. Then here's some other settings. I like how they have this audio compression setting. That's pretty nice. Then you can clear everything if you'd like to. And what I also love, I don't even know if you really need it with the Canon menu system since it's so easy to use this menu, but you can actually put your favorite settings over here so you can quickly access them. So it's just a nice added benefit, and then you can sort them and stuff like that. Now, of course, what's awesome about this menu is it's touch enabled, so that just makes changing things so much easier and fast, guys. It's just like using your phone. It's just so intuitive and easy to use, and it's just one of the reasons I really love Canon cameras. So I'm not big into photography, guys, but I do want you to know that this does have some fantastic photography options. Outside of having 32 megapixels, it has this built-in level like you've seen on cameras in the past. You can also shoot RAW if you'd like, and there's a couple options there. You can change the JPEG size, and you can shoot RAW and JPEG combined. I do want you to be aware that depending on if you're in this photo or video mode, that the menu settings, some of them do actually change. So just be aware of that. If you can't find a certain setting, you may need to switch over to the different mode. What's also awesome, guys, is you can put this into high-speed continuous shooting mode, and it can shoot up to 10 frames per second, depending on your settings. So this is JPEG plus RAW. Now, if I turn off the RAW recording of the image, we'll be able to do more photos continuously. So not bad. If you want to record tons of pictures in a row, there are other cameras that allow you to do that, as they're more focused on maximizing that capability. I do want to speak a bit on the best lenses to get for this camera. Do be aware that this camera has a crop sensor, and crop means you're cropped into the image some. So Canon has a 1.6 crop factor. So that means a 10mm lens equates to 16 millimeters on a full frame camera. If you're considering this camera and you're into video like me, you may want to get an STM lens, as I've been mentioning throughout this video. STM lenses are completely silent and they're great for video. If you don't get an STM lens, you'll hear the lens stabilization or focusing noise with the camera's built-in mics, and you'll potentially hear the noise with an on-camera external mic. To help with the lens noise of non-STM lenses, you basically need to keep the microphone away from the camera lens. You can do that by getting the Canon Creator Kit with the external mic, or by purchasing an external mic yourself, such as the Rode Video Micro, which is an excellent budget mic. You can also use a lavalier, such as the Rode Wireless Go with the Rode Lavalier Go, or by using another solution I'll show you in a future video. The louder the lens, of course, the farther away you'll want the mic to be. Please be aware, guys, that the USM lens that is included with one of the kit options does make a small amount of noise while it's doing its work. So you will hear it if you are using the camera's built-in mics. For vlogging, I'd recommend this Canon 10-18 STM lens. It's pretty cheap and super wide, so it's great and it'll be easy to capture all the area you typically want to when you're vlogging. It also has built-in stabilization, which is really nice. For overall video capture, I'd recommend this 18-135 STM lens, not USM, guys. This STM lens, because this lens will be 100% silent, and with its range being 18-135, it's a great lens to give you a nice ability to zoom in and out as you're capturing video. For great photos and better low light capability, I think you should check out the 35mm STM lens, which has a 2.8 aperture. Basically, the lower the aperture, the more light you're going to let in, so you'll get better low light photos. So it's great for those low light situations. And these three lenses that I've mentioned so far all have stabilization built in, so that just makes recording video a lot easier as your footage will be smoother. Now, I want you to be aware of another must-have lens for me, and that is this Canon 17-55 right here. This is a fantastic lens, guys. This lens is a 2.8 lens, and it is a fixed 2.8 lens. So that means as you zoom with this lens, the aperture is going to stay at 2.8. It does make some noise though, guys, because it's not an STM lens, so you do have to account for that. And another lens I recommend, guys, is this Sigma 1.8, which has a zoom range from 18-35mm. This lens is incredibly sharp and it is decently wide, and you can get some excellent footage with it. It does not have stabilization built in though, guys, so you will have to account for that if you want steady footage by either using a tripod or turning on the image stabilization that's built into the 90D. And I've been amazed at how much the built-in stabilization has helped me with capturing videos. With this lens being a 1.8 lens, you'll be able to get really good low light footage. It is really incredible how good the footage looks in lower light thanks to the 1.8 fixed aperture that this lens has. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching and using the links down below in the description. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below with any questions you may have, because I'd love to help you out. Have a great day and peace.